Hello, I've drinking some energy drink or something, not coffee. I want to talk about a very famous expression from German. In the future, you will be happy, but you will own nothing. Yes, maybe people will recognize it, but yeah, this German is maybe correct because I think in the future a lot of things will be subscription. You can see already with ground will be bought by Bill Gates. So in the future you probably will not own your house, but you will really rent it from the bank. Ah, der Bank, der Deutsche Bank. Yeah, you can know some German attacks from there. Yeah. So in the future, I think we will own less and less and less. We will rent everything, and this has, of course, also what I already said. Subscription-wise, it will be easier for some of the things, and I think also cars. If people are going to move more in cities more and more, you will see that also cars will be like lease. We had a lease ID that was for companies, but you can also imagine that in the future you will not buy a car, but you will rent a car, or you do a monthly payment and you get a car, or you get a service of a car. Maybe not the same car, maybe you have the same car, you can park it, but it can also be that every time you need a car, you call a car, and it's like a robo taxi. If that is existing, if not, maybe you get a car for a lease ID, and in the future, if there's a robot taxi, you can share the car with multiple persons. That can be one car, so the car will be more productive. And when you need it, it will be always there. Maybe 1 or 2 minutes that it takes to get there, or if you're lucky, it's still there at your parking place in the future. So I think also if you have a subscription method for this, you can imagine you pay for automatic driving. You can pay for all kinds of service inside of the car, because in the future you will not drive. So maybe a Netflix or some other movie entertainment. You can also imagine that if you have a chatbot or a Microsoft Teams, that you can work there remotely when you're driving. You can imagine in the future, if there is a lot of traffic jams, that you can still be productive in the car because you don't drive it, and you can still start with work. You can have your morning meeting in the car with your other colleagues in metaverse. It's a safe place, metaverse. You cannot go out of the car, and the car will look at you that you don't fall out of the car, or you with accident open the car, and if somebody wants to get into the car, it will block it automatically. So it will be a safe way to travel from place to place. When you're in the metaverse, for example, you have this restrictive place where you can connect. Of course, then you need an uplink. That will be Starlink, of course. And you can see that all kinds of services, Twitter. You can maybe make a bundle, a secured insurance for the house. A charging point. They are thinking about $30 a night for charging for the car. You can imagine that also that it will be automatically. I call it storing and selling of your electricity that it can store. So all kinds of you do a package of an X amount of your money, and you can have like all kinds of luxury package, a normal package and a low package. I think something like that will exist, and that is a good idea for Tesla. This will be easier to implement if Tesla has his own bank. So again, buy a bank, not now. I said already, will be now 4 weeks that it will take time. If I look at the charts, the wonders of financial world. So I think it is around 3 to 5 weeks that the banks are in problem. And I think if Elon Musk is smart, he buys it at the end of this period, and I think he can then buy a bank very cheap. And you need only the shell, you need only the licenses, and just implement them in Twitter. And there's also the way you can connect Twitter with Tesla and something like that, or you buy a bank for Tesla and you buy a bank for Twitter, whatever. Maybe also one for SpaceX, for Starlink. So if they are very cheap, just do it. It is not wasted money. And if you can automate it and you can integrate all these services into each other, you will see you will save money. Also with your insurance company, I think insurance always has to be separate from your banking. So that is by law, I think, in the Netherlands. Okay, that's it. About talking about the Netherlands, there were some elections for people, Americans and Europeans, other Europeans that don't know what is going on in the Netherlands. The Netherlands has a strange problem with stikstof. That is NO something, NO2 or something. That is the farmers produce too much waste from the nitrogen. Nitrogen. That's it. Nitrogen. And the all building of houses because it is a process using concrete. This is a nitrogen level. I think it is the only country in the whole world that has a nitrogen problem is the Netherlands. Because they thought it is important, and I think the only way is that there's a trick there. If you really want to, if you ask my opinion, it is all for. There is some bigger plan behind it, and what it is, I don't know. One of the reasons I left the Netherlands was because it became very strange under Rutte. Rutte is the prime minister. There's already longer prime minister than than some dictators, and even as the prime minister of the boss of China. Rutte is, I think, even worse than China leader, and he's re-elected every time. That is the most craziest thing of all. And what's going on there? Climate is very important. They are spending a crazy amount of money for climate. Everybody in Europe doesn't have gas, and what does Netherlands? They shut down the gas. They want to help because of the earthquakes. They want to help the people in the north where they pull out the gas. And what has happened now? They spend more money to lawyers than helping people rebuilding their houses. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? This is the wet dream of every American or bad person. They are spending more on the machine of giving out the money than giving out the money. Huh? That is crazy. What? And the craziest thing is people still believe them. And now the farmers also. There was a farmer party, and this farmer party said we will help and we will nitrogen. We will stop it. It will not happen because the party that was really against it. I think what happened was there was a party that really wanted to change it, and it was scary. So what happened was some other parties were created. In Netherlands we have like crazy amount of parties, like 20 parties. There are not two parties left and right. No, there are like all kinds of colors. We have really a rainbow coalition with 4 or 5 parties and they have to make a plan to work together. And so you select some party, and what you're selected for will never be done because they have to work with 4 other parties. And those 4 other parties have other wishes. So everything you choose will not be implemented. This is like totally crazy. And the only one that will implement their rules is the one who is the most smart or most bad, that they can push their will through it. And this time, D66, the Democrat 66, and it's not the Democrat Party at all anymore, they pushed in all kinds of woke stuff. What was it? Climate change stuff and all stuff that only costs money and doesn't. It is a really bad policy for me, in my view. And this is bringing down the whole Netherlands. And also, there are problems with the IRA, the tax office. They did some very bad things. People are not helped anymore. They lock them up. They pull their children away. They get them. They pull their houses away. The loans, the money, everything was blocked. They didn't get any money. The children are still away, and people and even the prime minister doesn't say sorry. Oh, and people at the RA were even not fired. So there is this really a shadow cabinet in the Netherlands, and this is if you didn't know that. This is the really thing in the Netherlands, and this is getting only worse and worse. And I hope that the next disappointment, what will happen again now with the farmers think, oh, we are safe. We voted for there's never been so big vote as now, and they will be so disappointed because I think they will find, oh my God, we thought you must not think. You have to really know what they are doing. And the people are so easily fooled by the media and by politics and semi-politics. And they are really tricked by some things. And the party that is really there that can help, they may not talk. They even were thinking to banishing this party, but they couldn't banish the party because the most left party that were against everything, they had a meeting, and that was almost like a terror group. So if they would then banish this party, they also had to banish the most the love child, the love party from the cabinet, but this was not doable. So they could not. They wanted not to do that. So this right party could not be banished, because else they have to banish the most left party. This already says everything. And now there is some party for the farmers, and if you really dive into it, it is not a party for the farmers. It is a fake party, and people will find it out and will vote again less and less and less. And the parties that are really can do a change, they are ignored. They are saying they are fascists, they are racist, they are woman haters, and it is not true. And this is the trick the media does and the politics do in the Netherlands. So this is one of the reasons I left the Netherlands, because I get so sick of it. And one of the expressions Rutte said is that we are not here to. VOC was the golden ages of the Netherlands, where we made a lot of money and we were one of the richest countries in the world. He says, oh, this is something never may happen in the future. You imagine that Xi-san or Biden or any other leader of a country will say, we will not be a leader of the world. We don't want to be rich. That is what he was saying. So what is his plan? He wants to be rich. He is more important than the population of the Netherlands. That's also the King's House said. The term Dutch people don't exist anymore. Can you imagine that? American doesn't exist. We're all the same. Chinese, all the same. Germans, everybody is the same. You cannot say that we are Americans. That is discriminative. So this was already happened 10 years ago, and it's one of the reasons I left. I get so sick of it, and that's why I left. But telling about subscriptions, so this is also Der Deutscher from the WF. Yeah, this guy, you see where it's going. This is it's all connected with each other. This whole green idea, what I also told, if you want to change everything green, that means that all German and all factories have to go to the equator for the solar panel, for the solar power there. These are all dreams. This is all maybe what I talked in my podcast, which we'll load up later, about superconductivity. Maybe you can make a superconductivity and that you can transport electricity for no loss to the north. Maybe that will be the solution. We'll work on it, guys, Shimas, but I don't think so. It is a dream. And why is this a dream? Because, of course, all those people, all those instances that are for this climate change, for this big change, they are already in positions to make a lot of money of it. And it is all about power. It's all about money. It's all about, they want to, the Netherlands or the European countries were too small for them. They want to go into the next level, the European, they want to be not ruler about their countries. They want to be rulers of all European countries. So this is a craziness of power that is happening in Europe, that you see in the NATO, you see all over the world. And maybe the end will be that there is only one organization, the UN, that will rule over the whole world. Maybe then it is stopped and everybody will have these power games. They are looking too much of a Game of Thrones here in Europe, what I know. It was worse when it was not Europe. Now it is even thinking worse. And all these political games, they are all about power. People don't understand it. And we have, of course, new technology, and they can even manipulate it more and more and more. And with the help of AI, this can go even more bad than you can imagine. So be very careful. But it will also have for the normal people, as we say, the stupid people that can make a prompt for an AI to do a genius thing. For those people, if we live in the future with subscriptions and we can reduce a lot of price, and we can reduce also a lot of cost of living, and that everybody lives in the same house, and that is what they want, like China. Maybe it will be easy. It will be very hard to break out of that way of living, but what they also see, they are not so smart, of course, at the top. And what they don't see is that the whole working future will change. Jobs, we will have AI, we will have robots. So in the future there will be not much jobs. So maybe the big mistake also now, the importing of people outside of your country is very important for creating money or creating tax. But if this work will be done by robots, those people will be more a burden than an advantage, because you have to pay more. And this is a way that here in Japan they invest in automatization and robots, and not in importing immigrants. So that's one of the reasons I choose this country, because I also saw that will be the better solution. And also the advantages here in Japan, they have already they will hit the problems earlier as Europe and America. So they have to fix it, and they have more time to fix it, because the aging of the population is here already a problem, and they have to fix it, and they are very conservative. So I think how they will save it will be change it, or will do it, will be advantage for people that are not old. So that's, with my age, I will be still just outside of this problem that you will see in diminishment of the resources. And I think after 10 or 15 years, a lot of people the population will be decreased here in Japan by maybe 20 or maybe 30%. And then you will have, as a person, more space, you have more means, the money will not disappear 20%, so there will be more theoretical, more rich people will be here, so it will be a nicer country. And if they stop also the immigration, and there's also planning and more automatization, you will see this will be one of the best countries in Asia, because Asia will be have a hit a problem with overpopulation, and this country will be not overpopulated. And also for other Western countries, they will face the problems with overpopulation, because they imported too much people from poor countries and third world countries, and they still think in the old way, and to make more children that will help them with their pension. But this is something that is not needed anymore if we have robots. So I think that's also one of the best countries in the world to live, and for the future, for the next 20, 30 years, after the AI revolution and the robot revolution, will be Japan. Japan already, with this, how they react on the solving the old problem, that is different than from the West, by not importing foreigners or immigrants. That is the solution, because they, I think, were already waiting for robots. That's all the anime is about, robots and automatization, and that will be their solution for solving the problem with work, that they will not have enough people to work. They will automate it away. So becomes a very interesting live podcast. But this is really what people don't think of and don't tell anybody, not about. Also in America, and there's all kinds of countries, but they have the problem. They will have a problem with, for example, Tesla will have the Tesla bot, and they will generate, create for every person a bot. Think about it. Population, overpopulation will have to be a problem. Huh? The rich countries you not create one bot, but you create 3 bots. So work will be totally different. And if you import and still people from poor countries in your country to help, you don't need that help. You need a bot. It's cheaper. So what will help with all those immigrants? They will have to go back to their country, help to rebuild. It will be very easy. I think they will be also a big advantage with these bots, because infrastructure, all the stuff, they are lagging behind. They can get help from bots, so they can rebuild their country. They can make it more advanced. These bots will help them with construction, etc., etc. I think there will still be a guilt feeling for the West, for these people, that they get them to know what they have to do. They send them back. They send a lot of bots, and they rebuild the whole country in a modern way, and like the same as in the West. Like Africa, you can rebuild the infrastructure there, mining update to clean, make them a power generation countries at the equator, help them, and money will, you will not own anything. Everything will be owned by I don't know, but everybody will be happy. And because you don't have to work, and you still can live, and you have a nice life. The only thing they have to be worried about is about children. So that will be maybe also something to think about. But I think in the future, this will be there's a solution for everything, and the solution will be AI together with robots for the West. And I think this is also the way to help the poorer countries. And there we can build our solar panels. They will still be a little bit misused for creating energy, because those countries are often at the equator, and that is the best place to create energy. And there was also often the most resources there, because that is why people started to live there, because there were resources. It was warm. You get the whole year through. You can make food. If the life started at the north and you only had like 30% of the time you can make food, yeah, then you have a problem. So you rather want to live at a place where the whole year long you can make food, vegetables, and you have animals enough you can hunt. So that's why those equator countries were in the old days the place where the civilization started. Later, because of wars, some people had to flee in the north, in the more not inhabitable places, and these people become more stronger. They had to think more, because they have to prepare the whole year. Okay, we have only 30% of the time we can make food, so we have to store for the time there's no food. We have to make, so they have to plan more. The people are more planning. They have to be more intelligent. They have to make more equipment. They have to adjust so they can survive in those harsh conditions. And that's how the West, the northern part of Europe, became more advanced as the easy to live equator countries. So they went up. So the bad people in reality are the people in the equator. They push them out, and the only way to survive those tribes were to adjust themselves. And what happened was they became advanced, and now those people become accused that they are misusing those countries from the equator. But in reality, it is opposite, because they had to flee from there. They could not live in paradise. They were kicked out of paradise. They came in the cold hell, the freezing hell. They survived. They made money. They became better. They more advanced, and they conquered back where they came from. And now those countries are accusing from, yeah, that's not fair because of this and this. The loser always complains. In reality, the big losers were the people that had to go to the north, that later came back. And that is a lot of people. Like if the same with slavery and all those other kinds of things, you have to see the whole history. Don't look at the specific times and what happened at a specific period. If people originate from the equator, why would people go to the north? Because you can fill it in. Then they came back. Is that not natural? Is it not natural that they come back later to also live in easier conditions than they had to live? But even now, people prefer to live even in the north, because they are used to it. And even the people in the equator likes the north more. So it is all good at the end. But remember, that is a big mistake of all people that think of racists and all those things that accuse from each other, from the third world, the second world, the first world. Don't forget, if the life really started at the equator, at the third world, and people were pushed out. And just imagine at that time, you were there, good situation, always food, everything was there. You were kicked out, you had to move, and they kicked you further away, and you starved, you died, you because you are not used to save food. You were not used all those things. You had to learn. So just imagine how much people, original European people, died because they have to move from these equator countries to the north. I think 90%, 80% of the population of those tribes died, and only a few survived, the smart ones. And this is a natural selection. So those people became changed in thinking and behavior, because that's the only way to survive. If you didn't change, you would die. And this mentality, that is the big mentality of those people. I know somebody who lives in Africa, who was grown up in Africa, and he said to me always, people in Africa only think not the day that they are living. Tomorrow you can die. He made the joke, tomorrow you can be eaten by a lion. So everything money you have, you spend now. You drink at the end of the night before you sleep. You spend it because you don't know if you survive the night. And this is the way they live in the equator, in Africa. So, but here in the north, we save. You don't spend everything. You want to save because you have to survive for next day. But in the equator countries, they only live from day to day, and this is also mentality how they work in those countries. They live from day to day. If you pay somebody a year's salary, they will be gone for a year until they run out of money. Then they come back to work again and earn something. And if they have enough money, they will not work anymore until they spend all the money and they go back. So they really live by money, by step by step. In the West, we are more used that okay, if you earn more than you can spend, you save it because there's always maybe a period you need the money when you cannot work, and it's always nice to save for something. And this concept is totally different. This mindset, this how these neurons are programmed from the people from the equator and the people from the north are totally different. And that is also something you really have to understand. And there's a lot of people, I think 99% of people don't understand that. And that is why people are different, even if you look at like Italian south part and north part, or you see some other parts, even a small cultural difference, the north side or the west or the east side of America. Some things are different there, and that's why people, they change. Even in a few hundred years, or they can already change the behavior because that's the way to survive or to be successful. You see the successful, So that is something also you have to know, and this is also why I think these innovations we see now with smartphones, because in the old days you have to buy a phone or you rent a phone from the thing, and now you will see everything will go to subscriptions. And, we saw the telephone going to subscriptions. We see energy and all other things. We go subscriptions. In the old days, you have to think, hey, you have to have a windmill. You have to make your own energy. You buy your gasoline. You buy your gas bottle. So you have a fire at home, or you have your. My neighbor in the old days had a coal kit. What is that? You ask a guy, comes with a big horse and a carriage, with coal. He used the coal, put it in a shed in the garden, and used the coal to warm the house. I have seen that. Am I old? Yes, I'm old. So this was happening. And also, there was no sewage. So we had a big hole in the ground in the garden, and they did all the fermentation. And once a year, they pumped it all out, and they brought it wet. It's a little bit same here in Japan, but a little bit different. But I have seen a coal, that the house was still running on coal, and the chimney gave this black smoke. I saw that, and there were still people cleaning the chimney. I lived in that time. I can remember that as a child. Yeah, that I'm now 57. Yeah, that is how fast it went. Now you are laughing. Electric gas. Even in a moment, there will be no gas anymore in the house. All will be run by electricity. And all this time, you had to have your own energy. You had to buy your own fuel. You had to do everything yourself, your own antenna. Now it is you have the internet. It is all your subscription, and that you don't have your own antenna. You don't have your own power. You don't buy coal to in your own heater. You have electricity. It is all going in the subscription model. You somebody else does it, and you get the service. In old days, you had to do it all yourself. The neighbor made their own butter. They make their own cheese. They made their own yogurt. They made it them all themselves. Now you buy it in the store. Children don't even know where milk comes from. They think it comes from the super Laserco. What is it called? From the supermarket. There is the milk and there is the lemonade. And the fruit, they don't even know how it grows. A lot of people, for example, peanuts, what are they? Are they beans or are they nuts? Now, ask that to a normal people. Everybody say they are nuts, peanuts. No, they are mame, they are beans. Look at the history of ichigo or strawberries. It is a lot of people don't know gardening. I garden. I have a garden. I do aquaponics. I do all kinds of things. I all research of things. A lot of people, children these days will know almost nothing. Even when I was growing up, when I studied, I learned a lot of school, all general things you learn on school. They don't even teach anymore. I learned all the basic electronics. I worked with computers, with Pons card, and we get a tape out of it. The first computers, I worked with them. Yeah, one of the first computers, personal computers I worked. I saw the whole development of computers. I saw the ARM chip. I had one of the first ARM chips in the Netherlands. Now ARM chips, every K-tie, every smartphone has an ARM chip. Or Even in Dojo, the ARM chip design is built in there. I bought one of the first. Yeah, just imagine that, from BBC. So I was there at the beginning, and I'm still seeing all kinds of things. I already saw. I was disappointed at AI. Now I'm doing AI studies. Working with chatbots. I'm doing all kinds of modern techniques, and I'm up to date. And the strange thing is, I cannot even find work here in Japan because I think they don't like these kinds of persons that are smart. So, do I compare myself with a smart person? I think I'm not smart because maybe I'm smart for myself. I think that I maybe am smart, but I'm maybe not good in communicative with other people. But that's it. I'm lucky that everything worked out good for me, and I'm here in Japan. That was my dream, and I did it. You can see that I'm in Japan, and I don't have any money problems anymore. There's also one dream. There's more. There's a surprise that will happen. Okay, I have to pay a price. I do my work. I have to do some work there, but it is also not so important because I have a wife that takes care of me, and I'm very happy with that. I have dogs. Everything is good, and my wife is also good with it. Yes, that is. I have a good life. There are so many people in the Netherlands that are frustrated going to work. They are saying, "Oh, I have to work for this. I have a mortgage. I have to do this. I have children to take care of." They are stressed, stressed, stressed. And if you have like in a new future that everything is more relaxed, robots will do the work. Maybe those people will panic first. We don't have work. Don't this. I will be dependent on a social income, etc., etc. But that will come. So people have to already start now to switch. People have to be more lightly, lightly serious about how they live and what the circumstances will be in the future to live. And I'm also preparing myself, psychological and physical to it. So you can see all kinds of behind me machines for fitness. Because of COVID here in Japan, everything was locked down. So to stay strong, you have to keep on moving. And if you cannot move outside, you have to move inside. So I do exercises. Uh, this is also important. People have to change their whole lifestyle. It is more like this, like podcast and like YouTube. So the future is now already changing very fast. I remember that I had to walk or run to school. Later, I used to bike to go to school, to weather what. Now you use a car, and I used airplanes. But in the beginning of when I was young, I never thought I would ever fly an airplane because it was very expensive, very rare. My neighbor had a coal furnace in their house. She made stuff with coal, not with electricity. There was almost no electricity. We had a black and white television. In the beginning, we hadn't had a white television. We only had a radio with radio tubes that were glowing in the dark. That was what we had. And then we had the black and white television my father get. And then later, we were one of the latest one that they had a color television and we could look at the color TV and we were happy. Now, then we started to save for computers because we were children of tech. So we had the first computer in our neighborhood. And then we had the first ARM computer maybe in our city at that time. So you can see that even if you come from a poor bring up, people on my school always said you will accomplish nothing because my Dutch, I'm dyslexic, so I have problem with language and also with talking. You can imagine, but I can tell you, yesterday I wrote my 300th book. So I wrote now 300 books already. So how they say you cannot even write dictate or the dictation. I was the worst person spelling. I was the worst person ever. They didn't even want to grade me. And now I'm already an author of 300 books. It is this was I would never think that I ever would write a book, and I even could not even imagine that I could write more than 300 books. So I'm hoping to write more and more books and explain technology and innovations and future technology with my books. And these books are very simple to read, 30 pages, between 25 and 30, 40 pages. You can read them in the train or somewhere else. And you can, okay, you now know a little bit more about the subject, because these days it goes so fast. And I know a lot about technique, and I missed a little bit about AI, but those AI models and technology are so going so fast. I have to catch up. Hundreds of things are invented in a few months of time, and if you want to be on top of it, you have to read day and night. You always have to research stuff about this stuff, about AI and about technology, computer technology. And if somebody can write an essay or some books to easily read the subjects and to give you a start to where to look and how to find more information about it or how to use it, it is a great thing. So I wrote some books about sorters. I will write maybe some books over search engines for coding, so that people will understand how the sorters and how the search algorithms work. So I'm busy now with a set of books of I think around 50 or 40 books about search engines and algorithms you can use for programming. Because if you want to program, you have to understand how these algorithms works. There are books of it. You can of course look at the internet, but if somebody makes like a series of books, you can just start it when you're reading, when you're sitting somewhere in the train or somewhere, have time, nothing to do. You download those books, you read them, and you have extra knowledge. And if it's not complete, you can later look it up. But the basic knowledge, the origins, the history, the milestones, who invented it, a little bit the story behind it, it's there, and you have a start to understand it. And if you have to catch up like 100, for I think the young people have to understand so many things. All the short, if you're a programmer these days, you have to understand all the search methods, all the sorting methods, all the models for AIs. You have to understand the logarithms, all those algorithms. There are hundreds of them, and maybe thousands of them. Uh, if you have 4 years, if you really want to focus on programming, you cannot learn all those techniques and all those stuff. So you have to in 4 hours or 8 hours a day. So you need to be continuously busy with this. And then if you have like a book resource or somebody who can make a lot of books about all those topics, and you can read them when you're not at school, that is very handy. And it's very easy, and if it is very cheap, if you're for Kindle Unlimited users, they are for free. So maybe I will make a program that they are free. So you always contact me if you want to have some books. I can send them to you. The idea is that I want to help engineers and people that want to change or catch up with these technologies. When I was studying it, I had to pull everything from internet, and sometimes it is wrong. I was frustrated. Then I looked at some books that are websites that are there. You implement it, and then you see, oh, this data, or I got this old and I cannot use it. But yeah, I learned something, and of course you learn because you update your software, the old software, so you learn it. But the basis knowledge, I was always fighting. So I was always looking for, is there not an easy way to get all this basic information without internet? Because sometimes you don't have internet. And I like books, and if you have a book that you can swift for some knowledge, it's easy. So that's why I started this project with books. My project I will at least want to go to 1,000 books, engineering books, all kinds of subjects. I even went to fashion. What is interesting of fashion, you can see that how family is important for business, and what kind of things, because the fashion world is very busy and very fighting for attention. That's almost, I think that you can compare it with the old social media. That was what now you see all the fights there. That were the fights that were in the fashion world. So that is very interesting. So you see some things that are similar. And I was just looking at it. I need some idea for a new book, and I started with, I think, with some famous Chanel and Dior, and then I saw, Gucci, and I said, oh, Gucci family is interesting, and then I see, oh, interesting, and then you read those stories. They are like really nice stories. It's like you can make a movie about those stories. What happened with those families? Coco Chanel, Dior, perfume, with the history, what happened to them, with the family, and how they make new brands, how they make the dress, how they make the first handbags. It's all very interesting. It is innovative as an iPhone. For them at that time, for the fashion, it was very interesting for designing a specific handbag, a bamboo handbag, or a high heel with red sole. That was so the very innovative stuff in the fashion. Haute couture is there from. So it's very nice for an engineer. You would not expect it, but it has some similarities with the iPhone and the development of IT, this fashion stuff. So people that want to know more about fashion or a little bit wants to read something else about all those instead of all those models of IT, just take a book about fashion and say, oh, it's interesting. You can read. I think I have 5 or 14 books about fashion now, and also other subjects you can read. I'm now busy with fusion and with superconductivity. I think nanobots will be something, nanotechnology, black hole, black energy, antimatter. So all those things I always also want to address the future things that you see in science fiction movies, if those are possible or not. So that's my also a project that I'm doing now. So I have so many projects. So I think I already 40 minutes of live streaming. And I think this was a nice talk. I think subscriptions, that is what it's all about. I think the future, everything will be subscripted. Your house will be a subscription model. If you think, is this doable? Yes. IBM, the biggest IT company, is something is doing like that. They are facilitating IT structures. Sun Microsoft Systems, they sold the computers with all the hardware in it, and they could switch it on and off with software. It's the same what Tesla's doing with SSD. Hardware is there. If you want it, you can switch it on with software. This is not an idea from Tesla. Comes from Microsoft. Sun Microsoft Systems. They had the computers. They gave it 8 processors. You bought them with only use for 2, and you scale up. They don't set an engineer. They just give you a key, and then you instead of 2, you have 4, and you have more money. They can upgrade it to 8. It's all software. This you will also see with your house in the future. Your house will be also subscription wise. You will have a specific status, and I don't know how, but I think you will own nothing. You don't in reality own your smartphone. It is owned in reality by the telecom company. This one I own because I really bought it and I only bought the chip. So that is also possible. But for cars, the real owner of the cars are the banks. You have the loan at the bank. The house is really in reality a loan of the house from the banks. So maybe in the future, in reality, a house is really owned by the bank, and you just borrow it from the bank to live in it, and they see it as a steady income of money. That is your subscription money. And you can see also a combination. You can. I think the banks are not too smart that they say, okay, if you loan a house, you will get 20% off Netflix. They do a deal with Netflix. They do maybe also first an investment in Netflix. They are a partner with Netflix, and they say, okay, if you want to have for the house a Netflix, you get extra money for Netflix. And that's something I advise for Tesla to do. If you have FSD, add Twitter to it, add Starlink to it. So all kinds of services. Buy maybe a video company, buy Netflix or do a partnership with Netflix and give Netflix to the car. Gaming companies, you can imagine if they are fruit friends with AMD, jump over the bridge of Microsoft and become friends with Microsoft. Then you have all kinds of Microsoft software and stuff there. They have a gaming company. They have all kinds of stuff. Integrate that in your Tesla cars. Maybe that will help. You maybe have to buy a few other companies, and then you have a total package in your car. You can see video, you can work, you have uplink, you have internet, everything is there. You have a whole ecosystem in your house, in your car. Everything you need to live can be supplied by Tesla. And the only thing they need to do is then buy those companies up so that everything is really vertical integrated, and that will be the future. And I think that is where we will see there will be a few big companies. They will find this also with the help of AI, that there will be more and more and more and more. That these companies will be bigger and bigger and bigger. You will see what will happen now is with the banking. I think a lot of small banks will disappear. There will be only a few big banks or big kind of banking system. And maybe the banking system will go owned by the government or something like that, or I don't know, a totally different system that we cannot maybe imagine now. And that is where we are going. Things are changing, and this will be with help of AI. I think AI will maybe help to make it better in the future. And we don't know how or when it will happen. And even if it doesn't help, if AI isn't not the promised wonder child that we expect, Maybe it takes many more years to really evolve as an advisor. Then even then things will change. People will change a lot. We will see for the climate change, we see a lot of things. Robotics and AI will change. The war with chips is changing now. The banking is changing. Money things are changing. A lot of change, and we have to be prepared for it. And it goes faster and faster. When I was started with the IT, I saw the first computers that went slowly. Then a little bit faster went phones. And now with this AI, this is the top. This in a few months, it's going crazy. And maybe the next thing will be a few days. You never know. Maybe in a weekend, something very superconductivity can be invented in a week or something. And then the whole world will be on its head, and the implementation will take a lot of time. But if this is also discovered or invented, superconductivity or fusion reaction at room temperature, we don't know. The world is ready for surprises, and humanity has to be prepared for it. So let me say thanks, and hope people enjoyed it. No people at my live thing, but I'm used to it. So people looking later at it, please look at it, and I will upload this also as a stream, as a podcast, an old podcast. I will give it a specific name. See you, and have a nice day.